Hey everybody, this is Josh from Solopreneur Grind for episode 94 of the Solopreneur Grind podcast. I am happy to be joined by Ben Schneider, founder and CEO of Jobify. Ben, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Hey Josh, thanks for having me.
Awesome. I was recently on yours, Ben, and that was a lot of fun. As soon as I started hearing more about your background and some of your answers and thoughts, I was like, gotta have you on. So here we are. But Ben, for those who haven't heard about you before, can you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Who are you? What are you working on these days?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Ben Schneider from Germany and I'm a serial entrepreneur. So I'm the owner of an e-commerce store about sea monkeys and a digital marketing agency. And one of the main companies or projects we have is Jobify.com, which is a job search platform where you can hire remote workers from the overseas. And this is, would say the project we work most on it right now.
Awesome. And I'm super interested because I want to hear about the others as well and how those came to be and how you manage all these at once. So really excited to get into it. But Ben, can you take us back to what was the beginning of your career like? Did you go to college? Did you go to university? And then what was the first thing that you did when you completed your, more traditional education?
So for sure, I was going to school, but in school I realized I do not need a normal job. And basically, I did. I was working as a mechanic for motorcycles 20 years ago. But yeah, I always knew I need to be an entrepreneur. I want to work for myself, not for someone else. And I started basically my first business in school selling Tamagotchis.
Oh yeah.
And later on, I was buying Game Boys and PlayStation bundles from eBay and sold them. I splitted them and sold them again on eBay. So I was making little pocket money. But yeah, then I started to creating websites, writing ebooks, did a lot of crazy stuff like sports betting, day trading, casino stuff. I tried basically all ways to make some money. And that's basically the beginnings when I were diving into the online world. So with creating some websites and selling them and stuff like that. And I was CEO of a franchise company, and we sold their chickens. So in front of, for example, in your country, it would be like Walmart. There is a food truck in front of Walmart selling chickens. So I had 10 of those. And I was CEO of that with in the beginning of my 20s, I think 21 or 22. But I realized this is something I don't want to stick with it my whole life. So I started new with some multi-level marketing stuff, which I also realized this is not something I want to be in. And then I was founding my online store, my e-commerce store for sea monkeys, which I have still by today. And we are expanding a lot with that store. And from this store, it went step by step. So from this e-commerce store, people were asking me, "Hey, how have you done that?" Then the coaching business I did was created. Out of that, I had a lot of coachings, but people told me, "Hey Ben, that's awesome you're telling me, but I'm not able to do that. So could you do that for me?" And out of this coaching business, the digital marketing agency was born. So where we did that for the people, doing Facebook ads and creating websites, e-commerce stores, online marketing strategies, stuff like that. And out of this digital marketing agency, where I was working with remote workers from all over the world and a lot of people, Jobify.com was born because I realized, hey, the platforms who are available are okay, are good, but there are a lot of ways to improve. And yeah, that's what leads me to Shopify, and that's where we are today.
Very cool. And those are some of my favorites. I noticed this pattern amongst many of my guests where a lot of the great businesses just come naturally, right? Like you said, people just started asking you for this and it just kind of flowed naturally from that. I want to go back and kind of go through each one step by step though, Ben. You said kind of the big company that you started, or maybe the first one that you started that is still around today, is a Sea Monkey e-commerce store. I can't say I've ever heard of another Sea Monkey anything, let alone website or e-commerce store. Can you please tell us a little bit about what was the inspiration behind that, and why did you start it?
Sure. And before I dive into that, this was actually not my first business I have founded. So
Right.
I've had three other companies that didn't work out. So one I sold for a little, the other I just closed it. So this was not the first business I did, but that was the first that did very well. And the inspiration came from a friend of mine. He told me he bought sea monkeys from someone from eBay and told me this guy is making so much money. And if you are my best friend and telling me anyone in the world is making so much money, I will have a look at this. And I was researching a lot, and this guy was not making that much money, but he made a couple of hundreds of euros per month, which is very low money. But he made that only on eBay in a very unprofessional way, only in Germany. So what I was realizing is, hey, if you make this in a professional way, worldwide, this could be a solid business. And that's what it is. And we are, I don't know, I think I've sold in more than 60 countries in the world.
Jeez.
And and we are still expanding. We go to the retail stores and stuff like that. So not only online, but also offline marketing. And so this is what we're doing now. So, and what you mentioned, there is not that much competition in that niche, because it's not that easy to get the sea monkeys. So you cannot hatch them in one or two aquariums at your home. You can do that for your private fun. That's what our clients or customers are doing, but not to sell that.
Right.
You need millions of them.
Can you clarify? So I'm interested in a few things. Number one, can you just clarify exactly what a sea monkey is and kind of how? What do you sell? Do you sell them? Do you sell kits, et cetera, et cetera? And then secondly, once you kind of determined that this would be a good opportunity, what were the next steps you took, or what would you recommend to others who maybe have an idea for an e-commerce store, whether it be anything, sea monkeys, t-shirt, maybe not t-shirts because that's a little more competitive, but any tips on how people can get started today?
Sure. So a sea monkey is a little animal which grows out of an egg, and I do not sell the animal itself. So I sell the egg. So the egg could be dried, and when it's dry, it will not hatch. But when you get it into the water with temperature and lightning, and then it will hatch after 1 or 2 days. And sea monkeys grow around, depending on the species, but around 3-4 centimeters big, living 2 to 3 months, and laying eggs in this time. So you can dry those eggs and repeat the process. And it's mostly for kids. Our customers are mostly parents buying that for their kids, because it's awesome. It's really, my daughter also liked it, and I still like it after 9 years. I think I still like those animals. So it's very special, and it's great. It's a great business. I like it, and I'm not an aquarium enthusiast or something like that. I just began that for business, but I like it. And the other question you mentioned, sure, there are some tips. So most of the guys see all those people on Instagram and blah 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 showing all their numbers and their stuff, but I started my e-commerce business part-time. So basically it was full-time, but I had two full-time jobs. So I did from 7 a.m. to 4 p.m. I did my work in a full-time position at a company. Then I went to the gym for around 1 hour. I ate something. And then from 7 p.m. till midnight, I was working on my e-commerce store. And this for more than 2 years, for around 2.5 years before I quit
Jeez.
my full-time job. And that's what I would recommend to people out there, because maybe you need the money to pay your rent, to pay your food and stuff for your family. So you should not quit your job and starting an e-commerce store. You need to put in the work, and you can do that, and then you can save a lot of money because you can earn on another way, or some money. And I was starting with eBay. So I was looking for a source to get those eggs. And then I started an eBay store. eBay was working out. 2 months later, I was starting my own e-commerce store. This was working out. 3 months later, I was starting on Amazon. And that was basically the way. And then I tried to scale it, SEO, Facebook ads, all those kind of stuff.
Awesome.
And we have a solid usual e-commerce business. So I have people here who are doing the packaging. It's not a drop shipping. It's not an AliExpress China business. It's a usual common e-commerce business.
Right. And what do you recommend for people to start with today? And the reason I say this is because things have changed so much, right? Now with Shopify, with Squarespace, you can throw up a website in 12 minutes or whatever. Obviously, if you want a good website, it might take a little bit longer. But if you were to have to start all over from scratch right now, what are maybe the 2 or 3 things or tips or tools that you might recommend to other people to kind of get started quickly?
It depends on the case. So basically, Shopify could be a good option. I do not use Shopify. I have used them for other projects where we did exactly those AliExpress businesses. Shopify could work good, but what I really not like at Shopify is that they took a percentage of every sale. I don't like that. So that's why I would not recommend Shopify that much. But basically, you're right. It's very easy to use. It's very easy to start. So you can start with that system if you don't need a warehouse system. So for example, I need a warehouse system. Shopify is not that awesome if you need a warehouse system. So that's why I say it depends on the case. So maybe it could be a good opportunity to start on Amazon, but do not build your business on the rented ground. So if it's you always need to have an e-commerce store. You always need to have a brand behind that. Otherwise, you're not a brand. You're only selling some products, and this is not what you should go for. Mm-hmm. Basically, go for a store. Go for a source where you can sell your stuff, maybe eBay, Amazon, and test it. Test it. If people like your stuff or not, you can do easily an e-commerce store with WooCommerce if you have no money, or with Shopify. It's also very cheap if you do not sell a lot. So basically, to start, Shopify could be definitely a tool you should use.
And what do you use now? Are you a custom WordPress website or?
No, I use JTL. It's a German e-commerce software because I use their warehouse system. And I was using WooCommerce before, but there was always problems. And I would not recommend WooCommerce for a big e-commerce store because you have too much plugins, too much updates, too much bugs and errors all the time. If you update WooCommerce, maybe your checkout is not working anymore and you lose thousands of dollars a day. And this is not what you want to have. So my warehouse system is from JTL and my e-commerce store too.
Interesting. Very cool, Ben. So I want to go to the next kind of step of the journey. So the e-commerce store starts doing very well. And then you said one of the next steps was it evolved into some coaching and eventually digital marketing agency. Can you talk about how that came to be, and what were the things that you did that you think really drove it forward?
That's easy. I did around 700 or 800 YouTube videos
Jeez.
in around 2 or 3 years.
So at
So
what point was this after you'd reached a certain level of success with the e-commerce store and you said, hey, I want to start sharing my lessons and stuff?
exactly. I had the e-commerce store and friends were coming to me, hey, you're doing an awesome job. How can I do that? And then I thought, hey, there is a business in this. I can share my stuff and maybe people like it and I will grow my audience. I will be part of like you podcasts, magazines, stuff like that. So I will grow my personal brand and people will pay me for my knowledge. And yeah, I was put in a lot of work. Most of those 700 YouTube videos, I cutted them by myself. I recorded them. I did everything at the beginning. I was a solopreneur, so not having big teams or several companies or anything like that, like today. So you need to put in the work, and if you do that on a constant way, you will be successful at some day. And that's how it went. So I did, I think, more than 1,000 one-on-one coachings. I had groups on Facebook, so paid Facebook groups where I was having some live streams. Out of that coachings, as mentioned, and the YouTube channel and the podcast and stuff like that, people came to me and told them, hey, I want to start an e-commerce store. Could you help that out? Could you build the e-commerce store for us? Could you guide us? Stuff like that. And that's how the coaching and the marketing business grows. To be honest, these days I do not very much coachings anymore. So mostly only for digital marketing clients from the agency, because I shifted my time a little bit. And if you have a project like Jobify, which is a huge project, a global project, you do not have the time anymore for doing this. So I do this, but in only very special ways.
Got it. Absolutely. I mean, prioritization is one of the most important things that I think we have to do as solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, etc. So, Ben, can you talk about getting the coaching business started? If someone's out there and they have a lot of knowledge in a certain area and they're thinking about, going into coaching in one way or another, what would you recommend? What are some 2 or 3 actionable steps? Should they start pumping out content, kind of like what you did on YouTube? And the other thing that I'm curious about is, how did you package that kind of offer? Did you have just one offer? Hey, hourly, work with me one-on-one? Did you have like kind of a boot camp or a group, groups, or how did you structure that?
Yeah, so about the products, first I was starting with coaching hours. My first coaching price was $39 per hour.
I'm assuming it's gone up a little since then.
Yeah, I was, to be honest, I wasn't selling anything. Then I put it on $99 per hour. I was not selling anything. I think 6 or 9 months later, I go for 149, and then I was starting to sell something. Because if you're too cheap, it's not good in that business. So right now, if you want to have a coaching hour from me, I'm at 250 euros. That's so 150, 250, that's our reasonable prices. But if you do it for $50 an hour, nobody will book you, because this is too cheap. Why should you do a coaching for $50 an hour? If you are that good, you can earn way more on another way. So you need to have a good pricing. And I did, as mentioned, paid Facebook groups. I think one of the first people in Germany who did paid Facebook groups, because we are in Germany, we are adapting a lot of stuff from the US people, and they did that before. Facebook was more used in the US before, so
Right. So
Yeah,
you mean like
but
a monthly subscription to be in the group and you would share content and go live?
exactly. It was not a monthly. It was 1 year, 1 year, and I was going live once a week. That was something I did. And I had some video courses, but I was never the friend of selling video courses, because if you buy my course right now, I know maybe you're only watching 20% of the course, and this is not what helps you with your business. You need a one-on-one coaching, or you want to be guided in a group like that, for example, with live streams. Yeah, and for your first questions, what's the first steps? You need to take action. So it depends on your money. Either you put out content, and tons of content, or you have money, you put out ads. You don't need to have a YouTube channel with 100K subscribers or anything like that. Just put out ads to a landing page, and this could work. Maybe not, but this could definitely work. That's a way that is working. But that's a way that is costly. So you really need to have money for that. You shouldn't start a coaching business and putting ads if you do not have minimum 10K to spend ads, because people are not knowing you. So you will not sell with the first contact. You need to retarget them. You need to give other free videos and stuff to get in touch, to build a connection with those people. So you need definitely to have money. And the other way could be to get in touch with other people. But the problem is, if you are new in the business, if you have nothing to offer, nobody will support you, because it's not a friendship relationship in that business, which is, by the way, I'm not that commercial guy. If you ask for help, it's likely for me that I help you, even if you don't have an affiliate list for me where you can send out my stuff or anything like that. But basically in Germany, I know people aren't like that. So I was doing that when I was young, when I was starting my coaching business. I was writing a lot of people, trying to get in touch with them, trying to help them, trying to build connections. And they do not support you. They do only support you if they get something out of you. If you have an affiliate list, maybe they will send out, you send out. That's a business relationship in that case. But if you have nothing to offer, this will not work out. So start your own channels, put out content, or play some ads.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's super helpful. And so, Ben, at what point did the social media agency come about? Was this when the coaching business hit a certain level? And as you said earlier, it was just people asking, like, hey, the advice is great. I don't have time to implement it. Can you do it? And then apparently I like asking questions in pairs here, is how did you start doing the work? Did you do it all yourself to begin with, and then you brought in freelancers or contractors? How did you kind of scale that up?
Yeah, the agency came very early after I got coaching clients. So I think I had a coaching business, my YouTube channel, for around 6 to 12 months. I got until I got first sales and first coachings and stuff like that, because I was going the way with putting out content only, not doing ads in the beginning, or not that much ads, which basically right now I knew that was a mistake. I should have spent more, but that's why it took so long. But that's also, you need to be honest with the people. That's why I'm telling you this. I did that for 6 to 12 months until I got my first sales. Maybe I had one first sale earlier, but until it went to a business. But when I had some coachings, then it was, very early, that maybe in the first 10 or 20 coachings, people were asking me, hey, can you do that? And then I did that for them. There was no team behind myself. Mostly I was doing pretty well in Facebook ads. So I've made, I think, more than 12 millions with Facebook ads in sales. So I did this Facebook ads by myself for those people. And then I was starting hiring people like a designer, for example, who is doing the visuals and stuff like that. Yeah, and for doing websites, first landing pages, I did by myself. But then later on, I was hiring people from the overseas to do that.
Very cool. But what did you do? Like if someone said, "Hey Ben, I need a new website," would you build them a website?
Those days, yeah, I would have
So
done
you were
that.
just doing everything.
Yeah, because
Jeez.
if you are on early stage, you firstly you need to have clients. Secondly, you need to have money, and third, you need to figure out some stuff because you don't know if the Facebook ads is the big business or maybe it's better to focus on websites. But to be honest, so we are building websites in the agency right now too, but this is not my favorite one because people paying you one time a couple of thousands of dollars, but you have a lot of trouble. You are always in charge if something is, yeah, not working on
I've
the
heard not great
website.
things about web development. Yeah,
Yeah,
in the
so
form of an agency.
yeah, this is not my favorite stuff.
Very cool. Okay, so at what point then do you start to bring other people in? And this is something I talked about a few episodes ago with a guest. Is it's very hard going from one to two, right? One being number of employees, right? Just yourself, you're doing everything, everything's under your control. To two, now you got to kind of bring someone in, teach them the ways, pay them, obviously. So at what point does it make sense from an operations and commercial side of things to bring somebody in? What was it like scaling up your agency?
I think it's worth to bring someone in from day one. I tell you why. Because if you hire someone from the overseas, this guy is, in comparison to our salaries, very low. So it's very affordable. So if you, for example, start with a designer, which I would recommend because for some reasons we can talk about that in a bit. If you start with a designer, for example, this guy costs you full time, maybe around $400 or $500. You can hire those people part time, so you're paying $200-300
A month?
for a month
Yeah. Jeez.
for a team member, and you don't have to care about the designs anymore. And to be honest, my designs, I'm not a designer, so my designs are not good. So I'm happy for my designers in the team because they are doing a great job, and I couldn't do that. So it's way more quality in the company. It's very affordable. I don't have to care about that anymore. So if you compare this with hiring someone from the US, your question would be reasonable because this is very expensive. You need to have a couple of thousands of euros in sales every month. But if we talk about two or three, four, $500 a month, then you should go for such a people from day one. Definitely.
Interesting. And I guess as well, Ben, you can, if you use them on a contract or like hourly basis, you've got nothing to lose, right? Maybe you strike a relationship with a freelancer and you just get their hourly rate. And so you only hire them when you actually bring in paying clients and you need their help on jobs like that. Do you have any recommendations, Ben, in terms of good countries to look for freelancers or partners or whatever you want to call them, where you can get high quality work for you're essentially like finance hacking, right? Where you get the lower fees.
Yeah, so basically, look for countries. It's more important that you have the right website, which your number one website for this should be jobify.com. So it depends. You could get great developers, for example, from India. You could also get great designers from Bangladesh or the Philippines. I prefer working with Philippines, to be honest. But it's one question is about the country, but the other question is about your hiring process, because it makes no sense to hire in the right country but the wrong people.
Right.
So if I recommend you go for the Philippines, because those guys are hardworking. They are, you're building close relationships with them. They do hard work, stuff like that, and good quality. But you need to always focus on the hiring process. So, for example, on Shopify, we only have ID verified users. That was one of the reasons why I've created Shopify, because on the most other platforms, it's optional to do the ID verification. And a lot of other platforms are doing that by themselves. So you're uploading your ID. So the Filipino is uploading his ID, and another Filipino is reviewing that ID. And this is not a very good verification service. So, for example, we on Shopify, we have a third-party verification service there, and these guys are reviewing people for bank accounts and credit cards. So this is a way other level. So we are not doing the verification on our own. It's outsourced to a third party, and we pay for that also. But we have a high security standard. This is very important. Then you need to be clear in your instructions. Do not look for the one-fits-all solution just because people are cheap. Because of people are cheap, you shouldn't do that. So if you pay $500 full-time a month for someone, you can get 3 of those people, and you have 3 people who are specialized in something, and you're just paying $1,500 a month. So be clear in your instruction. Do not look for the one-fits-all solution to only hire ID verified users, because those people, no matter from where they are sitting thousands of kilometers away. So you would not be able to charge them for anything. So you need to make sure this guy is really that guy. To only hire if you have done a video interview. To never hire someone without doing a video interview, because this new member is like a family member. The team member is like a family member. And you need to know those guys. You need to see them. You need to talk to them, because you should treat them like a human which is new in your company, and not like a robot who is sitting somewhere and working on your stuff. These are some very important some very important points you should have an eye on if you hire someone from the overseas.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's so important, and it's such a time-consuming task to do once, right? So to do it once and then not get it right and then have to let go of somebody and do it again is, it is definitely one of those processes where you're better off spending a little bit more time making the right decision the first time, and then hopefully you don't have to worry about it again. Ben, to kind of close out that chapter before we talk a little bit more about Jobify, is what do you think overall about digital marketing agencies these days? It still seems to me like such a great opportunity in terms of a business opportunity. Maybe somebody's working a 9-to-5, they want to start working by themselves. Maybe somebody's just good at digital marketing, or they're good at Facebook ads or whatever. It seems like there's so much opportunity with businesses out there that are struggling. They don't know anything about social media marketing, et cetera, et cetera. Do you have any thoughts or tips on people out there who might be thinking about some type of digital marketing agency? Is it a good time to start one? And what would you say to them if they were going to be starting one tomorrow, let's say?
If you are good in what you're doing, it's definitely a good time to start. The problem is that a lot of marketing agencies, one-man shows, are not good in what they are doing. They're just selling knowledge that they have learned from YouTube or some courses, but they have no experience in that. Selling that for sometimes a very high price. But the problem is the companies, what you mentioned, they don't know anything about that. So they pay those high rates, and get nothing or only low in return. That's one of the main problems we have nowadays, I think. But if you're good in what you're doing, for example, Facebook ads, if you're doing awesome in Facebook ads, for sure, go for a digital marketing agency or for a Facebook marketing agency or something like that, and sell that to people, sell that to companies. Go to companies, show them your results. At the beginning, maybe do a free test month, So they only have to pay for the budget, for the ad costs, and nothing for you. And if they are happy, they can continue in the second month, giving you, I don't know, 500 or $1,000 a month. So if I do the Facebook ads, if I do the Facebook ads for people, I charge $1,500 a month, euros a month. Mm-hmm. So this is what I charge for usual accounts. There are some big e-commerce stores I have where it's more work, then I charge more, but this is what I charge, and I'm not charging a percentage of the ad spend. Because I think that's not fair, because if I spend $500 a month, I do not have more work than spending $50 a month. So I have my rate, $1,500, and that's all included.
Awesome. And is that all completely outsourced? Are you still doing any of the digital marketing work, or do you have a team that manages almost everything?
I have a team for most of the stuff, but Facebook ads, I do by myself still until today.
Very cool. Awesome. Yeah. Very cool. There's definitely a takeaway in that. Awesome, Ben. So let's spend the last few minutes just chatting about Jobify. You have the Sea Monkey business. You have the digital marketing agency. You have your podcast. There's no doubt you're a busy guy. And now you also are running this new platform that helps people find, freelancers or just contract workers that they can hire from around the world. What brought that on? What was the decision making, or how did that get started, and how's it been so far?
So I had problems with with one of my freelancer I hired 2 years ago, and this led me to Jobify, because I was saying the opportunity itself is awesome. To hire people from another country of the world where the living costs are not that high, so those people are very affordable in comparison to our employees. But the problem is you need to be as secure as possible. And most of the other platforms don't care about that, because they only care about numbers. They have millions of people on their websites. And that's a problem, because especially here in Germany, a lot of people are writing below our ads, yeah, we have tried that on a marketplace where you can hire for $5, or on another website or stuff like that, and it didn't work out. The quality was bad. The people were poor. They didn't show up, all that kind of stuff. And the problem is not the system. The problem is the hiring process. These people just hired the wrong process. But why did they hire the wrong people? They hired the wrong because the platforms who are existing do not care about the most important facts, the quality, the verification. And this is a real problem. So what we on Shopify are doing, we first care about the verification. Is if this people is not verified, he or she cannot apply for any job. On Shopify.com, we only have ID verified users. So if someone is not showing their ID card, he's not able to apply, because we want to make it for you as secure as possible. And the other way is the quality. So you need to have an eye of the quality, make a test task, for example, or what I mentioned, to only hire after you have done a video interview and stuff like that. So that was something I was bringing into the project, and was saying we need to do that. We need to create a platform which is not new, but better than the others. Mm-hmm. So we were aiming for an all-in-one solution. So we have not only the job search hiring part, we have also the marketplace in addition to that. And we have a task management tool where you can assign tasks to your people. We have a time tracking. We have an invoicing that you get good invoice for your accounting, because the remote worker, they do not really care about that stuff, but you need that for your accounting. So we have an invoicing system. You can pay your people over Shopify. We have a daily reporting. So your remote workers can give their 2 cents every day and tell you what they have done. Mm-hmm. So you get a good overview about that. And that's some points, some tools we already included in Shopify that you need to have for your work, for your daily work.
Right.
For example, we have a chat also included. And this makes it quite easy for everyone to hire someone. Also, if you post a job on Shopify or a service on the marketplace, it's way easier than for most of our competitors. And yeah, that's what we were aiming for.
Yeah, it's a great mission. I mean, I really connected with the quantity piece you were mentioning earlier, which is, I've used Fiverr, I've used Upwork, and it gets to a point where there's so many people there that it's a mission just sifting through it. You're basically trying to find that needle in a haystack. That's someone who actually is good. So I'd rather a marketplace like Jobify, where you've done a lot of the vetting for us, in tandem with all the other features that you mentioned. Second last question, Ben, which is, what's it been like going from e-commerce slash, service type businesses, right? Digital marketing agency, coaching business, to building tech and a platform? What's that experience been like? Have you enjoyed it? Has it been challenging?
It was and it is incredible challenging. Incredible. So to be honest, if I would have known 2 years ago what I knew today, I wouldn't have started it.
Right.
Because it costs way more money than you imagined before. It's way more complicated than you were thinking before. And everything of the SaaS business took way longer than you expect before. An
Right.
e-commerce business, a digital marketing agency business is so easy. It's so easy, Josh. You have a product, you have ads, and you sell it. You don't have to create anything. Digital marketing agency, you have your knowledge, you have a customer, sell that. And then you do the ads. It's so simple. But if you're in the SaaS business, you need to create something. And we created everything from the blank sheet of paper. So there's no WordPress or anything like that. There was nothing. So we created the designs, we created the structure, the UX, everything. And this is so complicated. You have so much bugs, you have so much troubles with third parties. Yeah, you need to talk to a lawyer all the time because of some stuff. And it costs so much money, and it takes so long. I was thinking when we were starting that, I was thinking, okay, in around 4 to 6 months, we will have a basic system online. It took us 1.5 years to have a basic system online.
Jeez.
And
Yeah.
I was working on that with around 15 people. So not always on the development side, also for social media and stuff like that. But 15 people, if you want to start a digital marketing agency, I can tell you in 4 hours how you do that.
Right.
And then you can start.
I totally relate, as someone who went from selling legal services to building a legal tech platform. It is completely night and day. The other quick point I'll highlight that at least I've struggled with is, with services, like you said, you know what it is, right? It's knowledge, or in e-commerce, it's a product, right? You take a picture of it, people decide they buy it or not. Usually with tech and SaaS and marketplaces and platforms, these are new things. There's a lot of education in, hey, what the heck is this, right? What does this piece of software do, right? It's not, I give you Facebook ads, or, I'm a sea monkey, right? It's, hey, these are all the features. This is how you navigate them. You have to make them look nice so that people can kind of use them by themselves. If they get confused, they're going to drop off. It's night and day. But I also find it's a very unique challenge. And when you do get those successes in those areas too, it can be extremely, extremely rewarding. So Ben, I want to ask then, kind of my last question before we get into some plugs and where people can find you is, what are one or two things you would tell to an entrepreneur or a solopreneur, or maybe a 9-to-5er who wants to get into it, right? Whether it be digital marketing agency, e-commerce platform, or heck, maybe even, hopefully we didn't scare people about marketplaces and SaaS and stuff like that, but someone who's thinking about it, or maybe they've even taken the first few steps. They're going through the grind, but they're having a tough time. What are one or two pieces of advice that you would give to them?
Okay, the biggest advice I can give you right now, out of more than 15 years experience, test it. What I should have done is with Jobify, I should have done just a landing page and put ads on it. And then I would have seen what happens. So for example, you can restructure some stuff. So for example, you don't should start what I did with building the marketplace. I could have done the hiring service, what we are actually doing also. I could have done that before. Just a landing page. Hey, I have a hiring service. If you're looking for a remote worker, I can get you one. This would be so simple and easy. And then I would have gotten some informations. What do people need? Why do they need that? Why do people don't need that? Why people are loving it? Why some of them are not loving it? So you need some information. Also in the e-commerce business, before you start building an e-commerce store, maybe you do it with Shopify, which is quite easy, but you can do a landing page, put your product on it, put a product a video on it, some pictures, just create a nice landing page. This took you around 1 day maybe, and then put ads on it. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google Ads, and just see what happens. If you spend $1,000 and you're not selling anything, maybe this one is not a winning product. So then you don't have to order 500 pieces of them. Then you don't have to create your e-commerce store or something like that. So basically test it before you really start working on it, because you're not running out of time. You should be fast, yeah. But if your e-commerce store was not existing in the last couple of years, it's not important if you started today, in 2 weeks, or in 2 months. So it's just not important. But people are thinking, oh, wow, I have this idea right now. I need to go online with that. And yeah, that's maybe true, but you need to go online in a MVP version, a minimal viable product. And or maybe you don't have the product, you don't have a service right now, you are not an agency. Just make a landing page, put ads, and tell the people you are an agency. And if nobody cares, then you maybe need to find something else, or you need to work on your marketing. But the problem is if you spend 6 or 7 figures on something, and then you realize, hey, it's harder than expected. For example, what Shopify is, it's way harder than expected before. Then you're thinking about, oh, I maybe should have done it different. It's no problem for me right now, but because that's experience you have. That was the first SaaS business I've created, and I was talking to a lot of people who are doing SaaS, which told me exactly the same. I should have done this different before. But that's the best advice I can give you.
Absolutely. That's why we have the podcast, right? So that when we make stupid mistakes, which we do, we all do, we can share it with others, and hopefully people can learn. I agree 100%, especially in the last year or two, as I've been a little bit more in the tech industry. The worst thing that I hear from people is they say, oh, I have the idea. I just need a few months so I can go build the whole product. And I'm like, no, don't do that at all. Do exactly what you just said, Ben, which is find a way to do it manually with as little tech as possible and test it. And that's for 2 reasons. Number one, as you said, you're going to find out whether it's even a good idea or not, right? Maybe it is, great. Then you can go build it. Or maybe it's not. And then great. You just saved yourself, like you said, tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars. Number 2 is that if you do get it right in the test, it becomes 10 times easier to build the tech because you've done it all these times manually, right? So now you don't have to go from the blank slate, right? Where, oh, white piece of paper. Okay, how should this marketplace work? Now in your head, it's like, oh, well, we've helped 10 people do this, and they all seem to like doing A, then B, then C, then D. Okay, now let's just build the flow this way, because that's what makes sense. So that's what I've found, is it allows you to build the tech even easier as well. But anyways, Ben, thanks so much for coming on the show. This has been awesome for a wide variety of reasons. because usually I love all my guests and I always learn a ton, but we covered e-commerce stores, we covered digital marketing agencies, we've also covered SaaS and marketplaces. That's a heck of a lot, so really appreciate it. If people want to learn more about you or consume more of your content or get in touch or check out any of your businesses, where do you recommend that they go?
So if you want to get in touch with me directly, it's the easiest way to go on Instagram, Ben Schneider 87. Ben Schneider 87 is my Instagram account. If you want to hire a remote worker, you can go on Jobify.com. We have a 14 days free trial, by the way. So that's enough time to find someone, or you can go for our hiring service as well. Yeah, you can find me on YouTube. Also just type Ben Schneider, but most of the content is in German at the moment. Yeah,
I was going to go check it out. Yeah.
English content will follow.
Okay.
Content will follow in the short.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's basically the opportunities.
Awesome. We will link to all those in the description. Ben, thanks again for coming on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me, Josh.